What up, people?
Hello. Today is a special bag episode, I think.
Special bag.
Special bag.
What does that mean?
I'm grabbing something from the special bag.
Oh, okay.
You know, Terence doesn't know. It's like
Yeah.
it's like a list of little things that you can talk about ad nauseum a little bit.
So we're dipping into the
grab bag.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
As you can tell, it's a night podcast again.
It's a night podcast.
Juan had a week of test taking.
Don't tell them that. I'm just kidding.
You're like, it's bringing up stressful memories.
Yeah. Nah. I did good for physics standards. I did good.
Which always means you feel like shit after the test.
Yeah, which invariably means you feel like crap, but it's, it comes with
you
the territory.
You would think after 8 years, what is it, 8, 9 years?
It's about
physics?
8 years, yeah.
You feel like you would know physics at some point.
No, it's always professors, finding like ways to really lower your steam,
your ego,
crush your dreams and hopes. Yeah, I had a professor that said shoemaker. He's
shoemaker,
like,
yes, that's familiar.
Yeah, you'd be a shoemaker. Oh my goodness.
Oh, a shoemaker.
Yeah, he'd call you a shoemaker.
Oh, someone who makes shoes, I guess. Yeah, I don't even know if you can be a shoemaker these days. I guess you can.
Yeah,
but they probably make good money if you're actually a shoemaker now, because you're probably doing designer shoes and whatnot.
Yes. But the question I was going to ask is, why does physics matter, dude?
Oh God, it's one of these.
Does physics matter?
That's a great question.
I'm gonna be Lex Friedman today.
Don't shit on Lex. Don't shit on Lex.
I'm sorry, Lex, if you're watching this, man. I'm not dogging your style, bro. Terrence thinks we have the same personality, but I'm just gonna say that.
Actually, Lex thumbed up. He hearted one of my.
He faved one of your tweets.
Yeah, he faved one of my replies to him.
Oh, nice.
But it was just because I said that I said who the credit was for a GIF he posted.
Oh, okay. I think he wants to smash.
He wants.
I mean, yeah, clearly, this is the logical conclusion to him liking your post.
Yeah, Lex is a good guy, though.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
And also, his Discord is updated.
Yeah,
much better than the Portal one. Anyway, what were you saying?
Why is physics important?
Why is physics important?
Does it matter?
Oh, God.
Can you convince somebody? Can you convince somebody like in a really meaningful way that this stuff even matters?
A layman.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say that physics is responsible for every piece of technology pretty much ever created, including simple things like houses and things that you wouldn't even think of as technology that you take for granted.
I say this knowing that we're approaching. It is an election year. We're approaching an election, and there might be. You might need to convince people that this is a worthy endeavor. Yeah. To take on, or science, at least funding science,
or at least to fund it. Well, I would just say, physics is basically how we create any technology. You need physics to create technology. Of course, you could always retort to people like, "Oh, what about engineering?" Or they could always retort, "What about engineering?" That's true. Engineering is actually making the products, widely available to people and actually making it so that the product is scalable and also, so it's actually workable, or actually even sometimes innovating new products based on physics. But physics is fundamentally how you get to new products. The physicists do the legwork to actually uncover these new kind of techniques, these new kind of physics for new products to actually come out. Like a smartphone could never be without physics. The level of physics it takes to synergize all of those components together is just, it's hundreds and hundreds of years of a culmination of science. Yeah. So an engineer can build it, of course, which is also a giant leap, but you need the physics knowledge to do it. Like you couldn't build a smartphone without quantum mechanics. There's just no way you could do that. It's not something you could ever conceive of without quantum mechanics. You couldn't build a GPS without general relativity. So like physics underpins all of this stuff at the end of the day. And then, of course, you can go even further and say math is also a big part of that as well, because math is like all these guys are creating all these guys and gals are making this framework this logical framework that eventually that has maybe no use at the time.
Yeah.
But then the physicists will borrow that logical framework, that has symbols and equations, and then they'll use it and apply that into an actual physical model.
But I can argue that physics for the sake of knowledge is not worth the cost. Would you say that? Like, if I'm a politician, I can look at that and say we spend billions of that money. Why is it worth it?
Yeah, I would never justify. People are asking me why to do something. I would never justify it as, I hate this answer that scientists love to give to. They're like, well, physics doesn't need to have any implication. It just is.
Yeah.
I'm just like, this is such a hippy-dippy answer. Just answer the damn question. You can always find an application for something if you dig deep enough.
Yeah.
Yes, physics, you just do it for the sake of science sometimes. Like, that's true, but the politicians and people at the end of the day want to know what's down the road, like what is this leading to?
Yeah.
And basically the catch-all answer is it leads to new discoveries and new technology.
Yeah.
Those new discoveries can lead to new technology. Mm-hmm. So it all has application at the end of the day. It's just that sometimes you may not know exactly what that application is going to be yet, but you can sometimes have a general idea. If you're working in quantum computing research, you know that your research is going to be tailored towards making quantum computers.
Yeah.
If you're doing hadronic, or if you're doing like particle physics and whatnot, you may not have a direct application for that, but you can say at least if you understand the complete model of the universe, then you can make all kinds of crazy shit probably. Because if you have a full understanding of all the particles in the universe, that's going to be a giant leap for technology in some way that you can't foresee yet.
Yeah, like funding NASA, for instance, like it was an expensive endeavor, but look what we got out of it. Like pens that we can use upside down, like that's one thing.
Amazing.
No, there were a couple of other things that came out of it, right?
Yeah.
Like
there's a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't remember all the stuff. I don't have a list, but I know there was a giant shitload of stuff.
There's a type of material I think that's like special that you need, that needed to invent to even do the kind of space flight, kind of or to kind of have. I can't even remember. I'm not going to try to remember it.
Any kind of any kind of breakthroughs or new technologies or discoveries are going to lead to some cool shit in your everyday life, even if it's not going to be completely known what that's going to be, or when the time frame it's going to happen. It's going to lead to something. Maybe not in your lifetime even, but it will lead to some cool shit. Yeah. And the faster you do it, the better shit you're going to have.
Yeah.
So always go for physics.
Yeah, I just think it's incredibly relevant, especially, and I'm not kidding. The election is in 2 weeks, I guess, and when this comes out, it'll be in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, about 2 weeks.
So, yeah, and what a pivotal time, because right now you can feel me as a researcher, I can feel like the jaws of like almost like the opportunities are closing in a sense. Like there's a lot of uncertainty about how things are going to happen. Like there was APS released an email, American Physical Society. This is kind of very niche, but we're being impacted by politics because the Trump administration is actually trying to shorten the stay of like basically student visas, or make it more stringent for them to leave or something, to be here.
Oh, to be here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the process used to be more extensive. Like you could be here. You didn't have to do a lot of paperwork to be here for the remainder of your graduate career.
So what do you think they're trying to force?
But now they're trying to make the window shorter. Like every 2 years that you have to like check in or something, so you don't overstay your visa and stuff. And that's not really what science is built on. It's built on collaboration. It's built on it's an international, like it's a borderless endeavor, right?
Sure.
Because we're all married to an idea.
Yeah.
Right. Discovery.
Eric Weinstein has some interesting thoughts about the whole H-1B, I think, and the visa stuff. He was saying that it's kind of an artificially created system where we're trying to say that we can't get enough American people into sciences. So they created this kind of false need by saying that we needed more scientists and we had to do it from outside of the U.S.
Yeah.
I think because they were saying you can get it maybe cheaper, or you were allowed to somehow save money. I'm not entirely sure of the full argument that he had, but it sounded interesting what he was saying. He was saying we could probably get, just the same amount of I don't know if he said the same amount of Americans, but we can get American students in here, and the shortage of American students is kind of an artificially created shortage.
It is.
Yeah, I have a feeling that it probably is as well.
Yeah, it is. I know a lot of, I don't know a lot of, but I know a number of people that could have easily become scientists if it was like advertised as a career.
Yeah.
It just isn't.
Yeah.
It's just flat out.
Physics is like one of these weird, like, it feels like a secret profession.
It does, doesn't it?
It's like I felt like I was unlocking secrets as I was becoming a physicist. I was like, nobody ever talks about this.
Yeah.
I've never seen this stuff really. I've never heard of it from my everyday life. Like, I literally don't even know this is me speaking as like an undergraduate.
Outside of physics.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't know what physicists did. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what a day in the life of a physicist was. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know anything about it. I didn't know a single thing about it. I couldn't even imagine what it was.
Yeah. My parents don't.
Yeah, my mom, when she heard that, she's just like, so what do you do? Like, what even is it?
Yeah.
Are like, you? Yeah.
Yeah. You might as well tell them you're a psychic.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally what they're like.
But a psychic, actually, you still kind of know what they do. A physicist just feels like it's more like you just might as well tell me you're a CIA agent.
Oh, that makes more. Yeah. I, if any, and this is the thing, maybe this is poor communication on the physicist's part, because at the end of the day, I call myself a scientist.
Yeah.
Like, we're probably the more, how would you say, we're easily translatable scientists.
Yeah.
Like, you could probably put us on a project that might be totally unrelated to something.
The jack of all trades kind of, I see physicists, because you can just go in so many different realms and be pretty fine, because you have all this, it's all fundamental knowledge, right? Of course, if it's real deep, then you'll have to catch up on all the layers, but at the end of the day, any science is physics, right?
Yeah.
So you just got to catch up to the higher level stuff, but you know all the fundamental stuff, so.
But I do think physics needs a makeup, like, job.
Oh, like a
shape,
like a makeover.
Yeah, like a makeover, like a branding makeover. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, in what way?
You don't think so?
I got to see what you mean.
Well, just like we had nowadays, there are very few, I would say, popular icons. I remember back when I was growing up, you had Bill Nye, you had Carl Sagan.
Well, Bill Nye's still around.
He's still around, but
he does a lot of.
I guess in the era of like television, it was a lot more of a singular icon.
But that was also because of television itself was a singular visual media platform, right? Like, there was no internet in the early 90s, mid 90s. Yeah. So, well, I guess mid 90s, but now it's changed to there's more media now. So you have different people available. You got, like, we can be on it online. We have no barriers now. Bill Nye can be online and on TV, but like there's Veritasium and things. Like, there's more content now actually out there, I think, than what it was before. Because there's less gatekeeping now. Yeah. So there can be more.
There can be more.
But what do you mean it needs a makeover then?
It needs a makeover, bro. It needs people, like everyday people. It needs people like us. Like us. Yeah. It needs you got, I don't know, back in the day, people people loved Richard Feynman, even though as problematic as he was to some people, he was like, he was approachable. He made science approachable. Yeah. Americans loved him.
Yeah. I think I agree. The whole elite scientist kind of mentality, I think, is kind of dying, in my opinion.
Well, it's breeding.
Doesn't seem necessary.
No, it's breeding, but I'm saying it's breeding this, like, insular. It makes the field more insular and like much more. I think. I don't throw this word around loosely, but in a sense, it helps breed the toxicity, the toxic elements of academia. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because the more diversity you include, the more robust the system becomes in accompanying different types of people and personalities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I think we've come to the conclusion recently, well, at least for me, you've elucidated that that you see certain types of people dominate physics departments.
Yeah. You're talking about MBTI types.
Sure,
Should we go
but
down the MBTI
sure, no,
trail as well?
it's
Okay,
fine.
okay.
No, but I'm just saying, like you just you're saying you see certain pain versus play mentality people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we talk about this before?
We kind of did, but
Maybe we can do it again though.
But I'm just saying that like we need to, there needs to be a cultural shift to, and maybe I don't know. There was an article written, you said, about some we were mentioned as I like to think of cultural bastions of of physics. No, I'm just kidding.
You mean on the on that site, Medium?
There was an article, yeah.
No, we were not written. There was no article on us. It was us, but it wasn't an article.
Oh, okay.
Someone made an infographic of us, and then they also posted our videos alongside some other people's videos.
Yeah.
And they put our name next to like Veritasium, and
It was like top
Would you look
physics
at that?
YouTubers. They put our name next to Veritasium and what is it? Vsauce.
Yeah.
And
We're not worthy.
yeah, I was like,
we're not
Shit.
worthy. Or I'm
validated. Our whole existence.
like I'm
validated.
just saying, like this podcast to me is in a sense a public service.
yeah,
I think.
yeah, I think so too.
Like
just seeing normal dudes be physicists,
yeah.
or at least
dudes that aren't just
so caught up. I mean, we literally talk about physics every time, pretty much though. But
Yeah. But still, like we,
I
mean, because we do it for fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely do physics more for fun now.
Yeah. I mean, it's there's
When
no
I was in
weight to
graduate
it.
school, though, it was a little harder to do that.
It is, of course, because then now it's a lot more weight to it.
Yeah.
And
And it's just you don't want to be doing something that you're doing all day for fun as well.
yeah, of course.
How do you feel about that? Because you're still in physics.
Yeah.
For the audience, again, I'm out of physics. I've retired.
Retired. I like that air quotes. Retired.
But I dropped out of my PhD program. But
Willingly.
but I feel much more interested in. I feel much more of a satisfaction for physics now when I'm out of it.
Yeah.
Of course, I don't mind being in a career of physics, but I'm not going to do it the PhD way, of course. But my question, I guess, to you was, do you still feel like physics is kind of annoying to talk about when on the podcast for you?
Sometimes, but not really.
You're okay, though?
Yeah, I think it depends on the topic.
Like, what's a shitty, boring topic that you just can't stand talking about?
I don't know.
Or is it not anything in particular? It's just
I mean, nothing. Everything outside of my field is not really great. Because
Okay,
I'm like,
yeah.
I'm not really interested. But
I see.
I mean, at a fundamental level, I am intrigued.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But it's hard to comment on things that are
Yeah.
not related.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I know that we try to talk about physics and try to be. I know this is becoming a meta sort of show, but like
It's fine.
But it's like it. I did want to kind of reiterate, like, it's. Actually, I lost track of the thought, so you're gonna have to help me out. What was your
That's
question?
It was just, do you get bored of talking physics on a podcast?
Not really, no.
Okay.
Like for instance, like I'm gonna peel back the curtain a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna talk about action. Well, we're flirting with the idea of talking about
One day
this
we'll do
physics.
it. I'm
This
just scared
physics
to do it.
concept. I know we keep talking about.
We've talked about it so many times.
Yeah.
We've mentioned talking about action for a long time, but it's just one of these things that just kind of, I don't feel good with it. It's like it's a hard concept to really digest.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the harder like physics things for me to understand, especially to try to convey simply to an audience.
True.
I just don't feel super confident in doing that. I have a lot of things I can say on it, but if we get action, I want to fully internalize it.
I
Be
don't
able
know.
to
I don't know if you'll
fully
ever be
convey
able
it.
to. I don't know if you'll fully be able.
I think
be
I
able to.
can though, because every other thing that I understand, I fully ingest it mostly.
Yeah,
or at
but
least
this is-
enough to I can convey it to an audience.
Yeah,
action
but
is still,
action to me is still one of those things where it's like I have a running definition of like what it is and what it does. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but there's got to be a way to internalize it.
Everything that makes sense can be internalized.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So
But-
I'm going to just accept the premise that it can be internalized in a good, comfortable way, and
All right,
Someday
fair
I'll
enough.
talk about it.
Fair enough. So direct your tweets to Terrence to be like, "Hey, dude, have you studied up on
Oh God.
action this week?"
It's okay though. We don't get that much engagement now anyway.
No, but yeah. Do you want me to throw some more Lex Friedman type questions at you?
Sure. Go ahead.
Stop hating on Lex.
I'm
He's a
kidding.
good guy.
No, I look. We're flirting a lot with different ideas, and one in particular for me actually is because physics is important, but I also like talking about different kinds of topics like that seem interesting. For instance, I read an article recently. This was published probably, I don't know, it reached a couple headlines, so you could probably see it out there.
Yeah.
But they discovered there were 5 different species that converged or evolved in parallel into crabs, into
Ooh,
crustaceans.
we're talking biology. Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
They all did independently,
Independently.
and they're fully crustacean.
Crustacean.
Oh.
But they had to branch off from somewhere, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, why did evolution, that's kind of interesting. Does that mean we're going to evolve into crabs?
Crab people.
Yeah, crab people, man. No, I mean, there's some, yeah, that's one of the interesting things I read this week that I was kind of like, it got me thinking, because evolution is an extension of physics, right?
Yeah, every science is physics.
Right, but I'm saying, like, if you look at evolution as a...
Doesn't mean I'm qualified to talk anything about it, though.
No, I know, but I'm saying, like, okay, life, for instance. Life is a function of biological life, I'm saying, not like, like human life. I'm saying...
we are a biological life.
We are, but I'm saying, like, when we, in the context of humans speaking about life, it's like, yeah, my life is going great or something.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, human, like biological life or living things reduce, the sole purpose of it is to reduce entropy, right?
Damn, why you gotta throw that down?
Right, isn't it?
The sole purpose is to reduce entropy.
Like, you maximize, you increase entropy overall, right? You reduce your spatially.
You're saying the sole purpose of life is to reduce local entropy, to make it more precise.
Reduce local entropy, but you increase overall entropy, right? Because you expend a lot of heat.
That's an interesting way to put it. I guess maybe you could say that.
Like, in a physics point
I
of view.
don't even know if that's true, though.
No, but in a physics point of view, this is what happens. Like, if you take out all the fluff of, like, you know what I'm saying?
That's a strong ass statement, though.
It is a strong statement.
I can't confirm.
It is.
How confident do you feel about that, though?
Decent. 80%.
Decent.
80%, I guess. 70.
Maybe.
I'm just saying. Life is this, like, functional. It's a function system of information almost. Like, it's functionally taking in. If you break down food into ones and zeros, calories into ones and zeros, at the end of the day, you're expelling more ones and zeros than you're adding more ones and zeros to the system than you are taking. Well, no. That doesn't make sense. Well, because I was saying, there's a conservation principle, but then also you're expending more heat. So you're expending more random information. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
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 So I'm thinking evolution is
You can look at entropy as decreasing if you have more non-random information.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I think you might be right. I just don't know how right, because I'd have to really think about that.
I'm trying to tie it into evolution.
Okay.
So come on this.
All right, I'll buy the premise for now.
Well, I'm just interested because, like, life. I mean, there's such a thing as parallel evolution or convergent evolution. I've talked about this in previous episodes, but it's fascinating to me because if life is an extension of physics in action in some sense, it's an emergent phenomena of physics, then why is it that you do get these convergent series of evolutions? And now some people might say, well, because they all obey the same physical laws, right?
Okay.
And in certain environments, certain structures are favorable physically
Yeah.
to your environment. But it's just fascinating to me that like DNA specifically is one of these things that store information, right?
Yeah.
Encode it and pass on information. And it's one of these things that pass on information if it's like successfully copied, meaning that it's like you reproduce or whatever. But it's like, it's just interesting to me that certain configurations of information are more favorable in the universe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
I agree. Yeah. Yeah, it's like how the eye has evolved independently in so many different ways. Like you could have the really shit eye that's on like a octopus or something that's like just a little hole, all the way up to the fucking, owl eye, which is like a goddamn, sniper scope.
Yeah.
So it's like just crazy how many different iterations of the eye have evolved independently as well.
Which means there's an acuity for like for visual information.
Yeah, for sure. And that ranges all over the place, right? Because some animals don't think all the colors are necessary. Some think that just black and white's fine. And then others like us, we have colors. And then other ones will see even like ultraviolet, infrared colors as well.
Yeah.
So it's interesting too, the color spectrum that the eye will interpret as well.
Yeah.
For us, for some reason, the ultraviolet infrared spectrum was not that useful.
I think if we did, we would constantly be like, feel like we're tripping on acid or something.
Probably.
Whoa,
It's just probably information overload.
Yeah.
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 But then you have to ask the question, like, why is it that other animals do find that spectrum useful?
It's obviously out of utility. A lot of this stuff is out of utility. For instance, like the only reason why we see certain colors is because our primate ancestors evolved to differentiate hues in like fruit. So that you could tell when something is ready to eat or not.
Ah, interesting.
Like, imagine if you couldn't tell. Imagine if you saw an apple and it was just gray.
Yeah.
And you couldn't tell when it was good or not, right?
Gotta get the village idiot to bite into it.
And the only way you can tell it's good is nowadays. I mean, you have the privilege of seeing color. You know when it's ready to eat.
True. I guess you're right. And that's why colorblind people, it's always like the red and green. And maybe that's an artifact from the past. Well, I don't know. I'm making shit up.
No, you're probably right.
I don't want to make shit up.
I think you're thinking about this in a very logical way, and I think it makes sense.
But let's not make things up.
I don't think it's making
Or I'll put a giant caveat on it saying
go
that
for it.
possibly the cones in your eyes or something were... But I could just see that as being just the cone in your eye just didn't... wasn't produced in your DNA. Like when your body was being made...
But it's a mutation, though. Meaning that it's something that...
But it could just be a genetic anomaly, right?
Okay. Wait. The cones, and I don't know that much about
So with your eyes, you have like 3 cones or something. Don't quote me on the number. I think it's 3.
Red, green, blue. No,
it could be. I don't know, though, honestly.
Red, green, magenta.
But with those 3 cones, let's assume it's 3, you can interpret all the colors that a normal person can see.
Yeah.
But then a colorblind person, I believe, they have one of those cones missing or something. There's different kinds of colorblind, though. There's like a large or like a handful of different kinds of colorblind, so it's not always the same. It could be like different cones are missing, like the red cone is gone and the blue one's gone, another person. And then there's other things, even with like how the brain interprets the signal, right?
Yeah.
But in general, like a very simple version of colorblindness would be if one of those cones was gone, then you cannot see that color. And you can only see whatever mixes between the other 2 colors.
Interesting.
Which is why a lot of times like the red and the green look the same for colorblind people. Because, well, I don't know.
No, I mean that's a good point. I just didn't know. I didn't know because there are 3 cones, which means I don't know. I've been thinking more about the framework of life through like obviously all this stuff is here makes sense. Like I was talking to a friend of mine, another physicist. Shout out to Andre. I've been pronouncing his name wrong.
Is Andre.
Yeah, I've been pronouncing his name wrong this whole time. Sorry. we were arguing about the necessity for certain like life, right? So we were arguing about consciousness.
Okay.
Funny
okay.
enough. And he so there's
Sure,
this,
Joe will be glad to hear that.
so there's this idea of panpsychism.
Oh, okay.
I brought this up to
Yeah.
him. So for those of you that don't know,
We so yes, there was a podcast on Beyond the Physics
yeah,
that Joe and Irene did. I was on the podcast.
I was supposed to show up, but I
Yes,
had
things happen.
Yeah, terrible internet connection. Anyway,
But so we'll be on that. I'll be on that podcast. I don't know when it's going to come out. Could already be out by now, but
Yeah.
last I checked a couple days ago, it wasn't out.
but go
But
check
anyway,
it out. Yeah,
Yeah, it's on consciousness. It's
Beyond
like
the
a 3-hour podcast or something.
yeah, it's a 3-hour discussion, and some of it I guess we can condense because I kind of wanted to get my thoughts on there since I didn't get to.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we started discussing panpsychism, which is one of these ideas that it's kind of becoming popular. And that I was kind of surprised that my buddy Andre kind of had this POV that he was like, I agree, like with panpsychism. I was like, oh,
That's what happens when people get a new book. They start buying into that shit.
interesting. Well, the thing is, I'm still not convinced.
And by the way, this is in reference to Annika Harris's book, Conscious.
Yeah.
Conscious. Or what is it
Conscious.
called? Conscious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Conscious or Consciousness, but it's a very, very new book. Annika Harris, go check it out.
That's
it's a very
Sam
short
Harris's
read.
wife.
Sam Harris's wife. And if you're familiar with Sam Harris, it kind of deals. You probably already know a lot of the arguments, but nevertheless, she does a great job of like synthesizing her own thoughts and questions about all this stuff. And it's a pretty approachable book. It's a very decent read. It's like a couple. You can read it in 4 hours. So like, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I can't,
Well, you might be a fast reader.
maybe, but you could read it in a day if you wanted to. So the thing is, at the end of the book, they talk about panpsychism. We haven't even defined it yet, but it's this idea that consciousness permeates all things.
Yeah.
Including material things like this table, a rock.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? My glasses.
Yeah, we talked about the rock quite a bit on the Beyond the Physics podcast.
And
It's
here's
like, why does everybody keep bringing up the rock?
I don't. What? Yeah. Do you smell what the rock is cooking?
Yeah.
Why did I turn the rock into Barack Obama? Yeah. Do you smell, Michelle, what the rock is cooking?
Do you smell what the Barack is cooking?
Yeah.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah. But no, they talk about this idea that all things, including non-living things, have some sense of consciousness. Now, begs the question: what do you mean by consciousness, right?
Yeah.
And in the book, she defines it. There's a working definition that I guess is colloquially used, and that's what it means to be something, what it means to experience, what it means to be. What does it mean to be a chair that you're sitting on? What does it mean to be that? What does it mean to be this table?
Yeah.
What does it mean to be this microphone? It doesn't mean
She was definitely on some LSD or something.
Sure. The thing is, like, usually we define consciousness as something that's having an experience. The chair is not having an experience, at least as far as we know.
Yeah. Maybe Annika would disagree.
Well, that's what the argument is. I like that. I think that's where the convergence becomes. But I don't think we even have the language to parse through this.
This is why the philosophy and that kind of stuff kind of gets annoying sometimes, because it does break down to linguistics sometimes at the end of the day. That's why I kind of get annoyed a lot of times when philosophers talk about quantum mechanics, because they always get fucked up by the linguistics. And I'm like, guys, like,
This is why you can't talk about quantum mechanics. You have to just do the math, because
anytime you're talking about quantum mechanics, you're pretty much just always using bad analogies. An analogy that breaks down somewhere, but you have to really understand clearly where the line is that it's breaking down at and where it fits. And I get so annoyed when I hear philosophers talk about quantum mechanics a lot of times because of that. It's linguistic problems. It's not even, and that's the problem. It's like it sets you up to fail because you can't speak about it in everyday language, really.
Well, that's kind of what I don't know. In discussing this with the other physics buddy of mine, I was kind of like, well, we don't. It kind of converged into this question of like, well, then I don't agree with what you define as consciousness, as something having like what it means to be something. Because like he's like, I can imagine what it means to be a rock. I was like, I know you can. I can too.
I don't know if you can.
I was like, the thing is, like, I can project my own sense into the rock.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that rock doesn't sense that it's cold. That rock can sense. That rock can sense maybe the pressure of the other rock on it if it's next to a rock, meaning that it's going to
maybe
break.
Not even.
It's going to break.
I don't even.
But the thing is, does it feel the break? What does it mean to feel?
Yeah.
What does it feel?
It has no circulatory. It has no nervous system, so it doesn't feel anything. It's like that's what I don't think people have. I think people have a very limited imagination for what they think they can perceive. Like when they say they can perceive being a rock, all they're doing in their brain is just perceiving what it's like to be asleep. And saying, like, how would I feel if I just didn't move?
No, I know, but
it's like you can't really perceive being a rock. You don't know anything about a rock.
But this is what I mean. You're perceiving. You're
projecting
your own human experience onto the rock. Like
exactly.
I said, I don't know what it means to be a rock because I don't. It's not cold. It doesn't sense temperature. Right. It doesn't do any of that.
Yeah, it's not perceiving.
It's not perceiving.
So this is why it's like, I get so annoyed with things like statements like that because. Like a great example of what it means, like how disconnected people are with their perception of things. I saw, I think I went on, maybe it was I went on this little expedition or something one time in Atlanta. It was like a little cool museum thing where it's like it simulates you trying to be blind.
Yeah.
And they basically just take you into a dark, like a completely pitch black room. And you're feeling around, and there's like you can hear like the busy street and whatnot. And they simulate the street, and they're like, "This is," and I'm like, "Oh, this is what it's like being blind." I'm like, I can also see like these, like my mind is making up images of things, and my eyes of what to see. And he's like, "Yeah, it's kind of close, but not exactly." I was like, "What do you mean? Like, what's the biggest difference?" And he's like, "The difference is like you're seeing all black, right?" So for you see just nothing but darkness. But being blind is more like trying to see out of your elbow. Like try to see out of your elbow. Like what does that mean? Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. He's like, I don't see black. I don't see darkness. It's just literally you just don't see. You have no perception of. You don't have that sensory perception. So that's a completely foreign concept to you if you don't know what blindness is.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine what it means to see out of my elbow.
Yeah.
I don't know what that even, like I get that because I can't see out of my elbow, but I don't know how to perceive that because I see.
Yeah.
So I can never turn off my vision even when it's off. It's just dark.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think we have a very limited imagination. It's like also like those people who think they can visualize 4 dimensions. Like, no, you're just projecting certain things of what you know. You may know the math of 4 dimensions. You may know how to look at 4 dimensions as it moves through 3D space, and you can look at cross sections, but you don't perceive in 4 dimensions. Like, we don't have the architecture to do that.
Yeah.
So you can't perceive being a rock. My long diatribe.
No,
short.
I mean, yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like, it's because when you told me you were the lone wolf in this whole discussion, being flanked by other panpsychists, I was like.
But of course, the Beyond the Physics, our Beyond the Physics friends are very nice.
Yeah, they're very gracious folks, and they're great people. I mean, I was gonna say it like Trump, but I was like, nah.
Irene and Joe are our favorite people.
Oh yeah, they're 100% the best people.
And then also your buddy Ricky,
my buddy Ricky,
from the. Also, you can check out Ricky from the old psychedelic spirituality podcast,
episode.
and then also a new guy was there, Edward, who I don't think you know him.
No.
Okay. Anyway,
from Twilight.
Yes, Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson.
Well, he also commented on our Tenet podcast and said it sucked.
Yeah. It's like, I think consciousness is this. But yeah, he's no, but what was I gonna say? Yeah, the panpsychism part is. That's why I'm saying, like, I think people are ascribing a human. I mean, it's probably, I'm trivializing probably their statements because I don't think this is that.
I'm not convinced. A lot of times I hear it and I'm like, I don't think they really understand what it means to actually perceive something in a specific way.
I think it helps when you've taken drugs before,
Sure.
because you at least get a whole new sense of reality.
Right.
And people who haven't gotten that, they don't have the imagination to be able to understand what it means to truly perceive something.
Well, I
like
think
that.
I think those people are coming from. They reach panpsychism from those experiences, from those spiritual experiences.
maybe so. Maybe so.
Now, for me, I've never really had quote unquote that sort of spiritual experience, but I can say that physics says that the atoms in my body are very. They can sense the other atoms in everywhere else, in some way. Yeah. Now my body's overall neutral, but like it still feels the presence of any other mass in this room or anything.
Technically, the atom is at least a dipole, unless it's just a single particle.
Yeah.
At least a dipole.
But like at a fundamental level, I'm saying like we feel the presence of other matter, and then some people having like these psychedelic experiences, I guess they feel like that breaks down that interface of like you feeling everything around you kind of thing. I don't know. I'm not convinced about the panpsychism thing, because I think it's a sort of projection of your own like sentiment of like maybe how you feel like the world is connected or something.
Right.
Which on a fundamental level it is true. Like physically we are. But I don't think it's reduced to like feelings, like a feeling of.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a hippy-dippy interpretation of reality. I think reality is a lot more ominous and mysterious than that, and rocks are not feeling. I think there is kind of something to it in the sense that there is like a. I think consciousness is actually kind of the thing that's the weird, overhyped thing. I think being consciousness, we kind of ascribe a lot more mystical
attributes to it than it really is.
Right.
And they're kind of inversing that, where they're trying to put consciousness on everything else, where I'm saying like everything else is kind of the normal layer, but then consciousness only arises from complexity of molecules and the arrangement of whatever your molecules are, to where that emerges with
the feeling of consciousness.
Yeah. Because one argument I heard is that what makes the brain so special as a thing. Now, the argument that was heard about panpsychism was that like a computer, for instance, when humans build a computer, it's a special configuration to achieve a certain type of type of thing, I guess. Like it has a function, like the computer has a function. For instance, I was kind of making the brain analogous to a computer. Like the hardware is the brain. The desktop is the brain.
Sure.
The operating system is like consciousness in some way.
All right.
Like, this is how you navigate, this is how you interpret reality. But then not how to interpret reality, but this is how you navigate reality. It's giving you a nice little interface. And however, you yourself is your personality. Like whenever you go interact with the computer, interface with the computer, you are your ego or your personality, your conscious self is acting through the operating system, which is the part of your brain that interfaces with reality, that makes sense of your reality with the hardware. So there seems to be like three layers of information there, that like the brain is such a. Yeah, I don't think you can extend consciousness to things that are material, because I think our consciousness in some sense is a unique configuration. I agree with you. The ground state is probably not consciousness for everything.
Yeah.
It seems to be like this feels special because it is special. Like.
Yeah, I think it's special that it's emergent and it's a complex thing.
Yeah.
But I think if we started to reduce every element of the brain down further and further, I think you would slowly reveal how unspecial it is. It's like any emergent phenomenon.
Yeah.
When we see water as this liquid that's really dynamic and flowing, and then you reduce it down to all the molecules, you see, it's just It's just certain combinations of the bonds between these molecules are just looser bonds. And then when you just tighten those bonds up, then you can form a solid. And like the emergent thing is like, that's the cool thing because it arises in this cool way that's unexpected if you just looked at it from a microscopic scale. But I think consciousness is literally the exact same thing. It'll be like once we can reduce it down to all those basic elements and build up from there, then we'll see it's just an emergent phenomenon.
Sure, but that doesn't remove. To me, I think people hear what we're saying and say, "Oh, we're removing the beauty from it." I don't think that that doesn't rob anything of
I just
the
want a
experience.
realistic picture of it. I don't want you to see. That's the thing with panpsychism. I think they're getting it wrong. They're trying to put consciousness on everything else. Like consciousness itself is the magical or beautiful thing or some kind of special ethereal type of thing, which is like it's not. I don't think. I can't say that for sure, right? I don't know shit, but I would assume not. It doesn't seem like there needs to be consciousness in everything. Consciousness feels like it emerges.
Yeah. Anytime I hear somebody talk about panpsychism, I'm just saying that I'm not entirely convinced.
Yeah.
The arguments aren't good enough.
I'm not buying it at all, really.
Argument yet. Now, but that's because of that. I can say like within my own experience, what makes the most sense, and applying physics as well. Like the brain is an information processing system that is preoccupied with making sense of reality. I'm not saying that it's special in the sense that it's a human consciousness. Now, I think other living beings can have other types of consciousness, but like an ant is not going to have the same consciousness as me. A bird's not going to have the same consciousness as me. It's not. It doesn't have the same sensory inputs.
Right.
Like birds can sense magnetic fields. I don't know what that is like.
Yeah. I can't even contemplate what that means.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what it means to have this instinct of like flying north.
Right.
Like,
Right.
Yeah, it does not compute.
Yeah, I know what it means to exist.
Has it been confirmed that they can actually sense magnetic fields?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe so.
Let's hope that you're not.
Well, no,
fucking
pigeons.
up.
I know pigeons can because they find like magnetites or what is it called? Like ferromagnetic. Like
Magnetite is magnet.
yeah, they find like little bits of iron in their. They apparently like eat it. So that they can. It's weird. Yeah, pigeons are strange. They can also see
compass in their
UV.
mouth. Like,
They can also see UV.
It's like
They can.
chew, like tobacco chew.
Yeah, just spitting it out. Dude, it's actually strange now that I think about it. Are they pigeons might be the weirder animal that we've like kind of like
Correct.
that we've like
Drugged.
just kind of just ignore, really.
Oh yeah, because
Like-
they're just everywhere. You
take them for granted, like just like
They
flying
can,
rats.
They can see UV rays. They can think about write that on paper. They can see UV rays, fly,
They sound
sense
like the
magnetic
most
fields,
Amazing animal ever.
sense magnetic fields.
Right.
Can survive anywhere, pretty much on the street.
Yeah, that's a machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a bird. That's a machine.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah. So like, no, just the arguments that I've heard. Again, I'm not convinced. If you are a panpsychist, please point me to a good resource that's really convincing that you think might convince me. I want to be convinced. I
Did
like
Annika make that up herself?
no.
Okay.
No, this is like this is the
Expounding upon.
I would say this is the consciousness cohort, or the
Gotcha.
consensus that the consciousness people are coming to. Now, this is also why I think we need more physicists in this sphere, because we're tying it into the physical realm. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to
Not
like
just philosophical musings.
exactly. We're not going to.
Just built off of intuition and
I mean, yeah.
Thoughts.
Okay, because my friend tried to convince me that there was a primordial soup that was like that consciousness is this essence that that comes from the beginnings of life, the Big Bang.
well, that's what I thought panpsychists were saying too, kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what he's saying.
They're saying like it could be like a particle, for instance, or like a consciousness field or something that's undiscovered.
No, there's something simpler than that. I think.
Okay.
I think it's just literally because we're already connected electromagnetically, like to
Okay.
everything else. I
Okay.
don't think we need to add any extra layer of anything. You know what I'm saying?
What do you mean? Well, I'm saying this is what the panpsychists would think.
Yeah, but I'm saying they're complicating by making.
Yeah, it seems overcomplicating to me, but
Yeah.
that's what they're saying, right?
Yeah, they are. But
Okay.
I agree with you. They're adding a layer of complexity that I think doesn't need to be there, because I think it can all be answered with our current model of physics.
Yeah.
Or a current understanding
Same.
of physics.
Well, not current understanding, but it can be along the same trajectory as what we already know.
Okay, that's better said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, well, I'm just saying I need to be convinced.
Yeah.
Like
to me, it's like you're. I don't really like this approach to physics or anything really. Like I don't like creating models out of thin air. Some people like that kind of approach though. They like thinking about a model and just making it happen. Like it's kind of like the Garrett Lisi approach with the E8. Like he looks at the E8 structure, sees a couple properties, and then tries to fit that to the universe.
Yeah.
I'm more of the type where I like to uncover a lot of stuff first and then follow wherever the rabbit trail goes and then see, oh, this is taking me to this conclusion.
Yeah.
And then I like to just uncover it as I go. I don't like to think of the model first and then apply it onto real life. I like to uncover the model as I go on.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. I think we need more physicists in... this is why we need more physicists to be multidisciplinary in some ways, because there's a lot of hoity-toity like culture, like of just seeing other fields lesser than, or other things that might be too complicated lesser than physics. Like answering consciousness. If you answer consciousness successfully, you're in the history books forever. You know what I'm saying?
But I think we're not even in the realm of being able to do that really yet. I think that's going to be I think that's going to be with the approach that the philosophers take is not a
that's what I'm saying.
approach.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a mental masturbatory approach. It doesn't really help.
Okay, but it's analogous to like the field of biology calling for they were literally begging for physicists to come to their side. And I think physicists sell themselves as like, nah. they literally like
it's beneath them.
It's absurd. Like
I know some biological physicists though.
Yeah, I know.
Some good ones.
Great physicists.
Yeah.
Really, and it's well deserved. Like you need those kind of brilliant people in those fields solving complex problems of like, molecules and stuff. Really, that's what they're doing. But
complex systems.
But still very complex. And the thing is, this is you need this kind of stuff so that you can then understand bigger and bigger systems like the brain. Bigger and better organizations like that are the brain.
I think eventually they will, though. I think there's a lot of people working on it. Because like we said, I mentioned at one point that maybe another podcast that, consciousness is like this area that has so many areas of attack or so many angles of attack. Because it's literally you can do physics, math, neuroscience, which is part of biology, chemistry. Like all those are relevant for neuroscience. Psychology even. Like you can attack it from every discipline pretty much.
You're attacking it with one paradigm at a time.
Well, each one is doing it in their own paradigm. Though.
Yeah, but I'm saying like I think you need a synthesis of.
We'll need some cross-disciplinary, but there is cross-disciplinary stuff. In my undergraduate institution, I saw a lot of cross-disciplinary work in neuroscience, like the physics guys and math guys and the and the biology people would always talk. So there was crosstalk for sure.
Yeah, there's more of that.
Yeah.
I just see too many physicists kind of like poo-poo the idea of like, and I meant to say this, like, and I just remembered. There was a team of physicists that tried to help with the COVID thing, like modeling COVID.
Yeah, I saw that. It's classic physics people blunder too.
Can you speak on this?
Well, they tried to model the COVID situation of how it would spread.
Yeah.
And they said that it should you should be able to open campuses because eventually you'll get this kind of curve and it will die out eventually or something. And it's like the physicists neglected that there was going to be super spreaders that spread the virus more than other people because they had the assumption that the people who had COVID will only stay within their certain friend groups of 4 or 5 people. I'm like, that's such a physicist mistake to do where they don't understand that there's people who are extremely social.
The hubris of these people.
Yeah. And they're they're talking shit about how it's such an easy field and they don't want to deal with this. And it was such a stereotypically a physicist approach.
Yeah.
And to miss such an easy variable for anybody who knows anything about people.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah,
this
I
is
was like-
100%.
I was just laughing when I saw it.
And they're like, we didn't
Yeah.
account for the fact. And it's like, of course you didn't, because, yeah.
Because you literally live in your own bubble of
What you believe.
how people are,
Yeah.
basically.
And you think you're so much, and they're literally like, I think, and this is the quote directly from the article. They were just like, I think we want to spend. I wish the country would take this virus seriously, because I would just like to spend time doing more important things, like
Yeah.
actual physics.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you,
More
man.
challenging problems.
You and I say that with all the weight that carries.
The full F.
The full
capital
F.
F.
I'm not even gonna bleep it. I'll bleep it a little bit. I'll leave the F part on it. But it's
I've cussed a lot this podcast, so your
It's fine.
job's gonna be cut out.
it's just that hubris. You know what I'm saying? Like we
Yeah.
need to. There needs to be more.
Yeah, it's very annoying.
It's annoying.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of why we get shit on too. It's physicists.
It's funny to me, though, at some level, because I'm like, they're so naive.
Naive and don't even realize it.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I guess we kind of circled back there, right? Why
Oh damn,
physics?
it's already 56.
Why physics is important.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but yeah. Anyway, panpsychism, please. If you're a panpsychist,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even sure. Did I pronounce that right? Is it
Yeah,
panpsychism?
yeah.
Yeah.
And you also got to check out the Beyond the Physics podcast that
Yeah,
we did with
please.
Joe and Irene and,
Mhm.
Ricky Ed. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. And
and we're not going to do a sign off, are we?
yeah.
Are we going to do a recorded sign off? Another
No,
one?
no.
Okay, then let's just say, guys, of course, make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe.
Mm-hmm.
Check out the Eigenbros.com website.
Mm-hmm.
Check us out on Twitter, Eigenbros. Check us out on Instagram, Eigenbros.
Yes.
And check us on TikTok, Eigenbros 2. And that's it.
And we'll see you later.
See you guys.